Good evening. It's now 6:30 and it's time to call the regular meeting of the Victoria City Council to order. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on our agenda tonight is announcements. There will be a special meeting of the council on Monday, June 13th for our annual volunteer recognition, outgoing Citizens Advisory Board member recognition, and Community Builder Award presentation. That event will be held at Bayfront Park at 5 p.m. The council will also kick off the 2023 budget discussions on Monday, June 27th at 5 p.m. All meetings of the council are open to the public and held in the council chambers unless otherwise noted. We encourage anyone wanting to attend our council meetings or workshops in person to contact our city clerk in advance. In other announcements, we want to invite everyone to our newest park, Wasserman Lake Preserve, on Wednesday, May 18th from 3 to 6 for a spring open house. Tours and information about the park will be provided, and both city and Minnehaha Watershed District staff will be available to answer any park-related questions. Also, our Senior Advisory Committee has been working hard preparing for our inaugural Senior Expo, which will be held on Tuesday, May 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Lions Pavilion. All are welcome, and we hope to see you there. Finally, a reminder that watering restrictions for irrigation using the public water supply are now in effect and will continue until September 30th. Irrigation is prohibited between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. every day, and limited to an odd-even schedule corresponding to property addresses. To find out more information about the water restrictions on the city website. We have one proclamation this evening, which I will read from the dais. A proclamation recognizing May 15th through 22nd as National Public Works Week. Whereas Public Works provides services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the City of Victoria. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of our Public Works employees who are responsible for planning, improving, and protecting our city's stormwater management system, construction projects, streets, public buildings, parks, trails, and other structures and facilities essential for our residents. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens and leaders in Victoria to gain knowledge and maintain ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of the Public Works, first responders, and Public Works programs. Now, therefore, we, Mayor and Council members of the City of Victoria, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through 22nd, 2022 as National Public Works Week. The next order of business is to adopt the final agenda. Council, can I get a motion to adopt the final agenda?
Motion to adopt final agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to our next item, which is open forum. That's the opportunity for anyone to address the council on an item that's not on the agenda and not an application form that will be coming to the council at a future date. No individuals have registered in advance to speak. If there is anyone in the audience who would like to address the council, please let us know. Seeing no one, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are routine, administrative, and do not require deliberation or are housekeeping items that are required by law. Consent agenda items are approved with one vote unless someone requests an item to be considered separately. Ms. Hardie, does staff wish to pull any consent agenda items for a separate discussion and vote?
None from staff, Madam Mayor.
Council, any items from council? Anyone in the audience who would like to pull an item for separate discussion and vote? Seeing no one, may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion. We'll give Judy the second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to our regular agenda, we have one item on our regular agenda this evening. Item 6.1 is to call for the tax increment financing public hearing for Downtown West. Kicking us off this evening is City Manager, Ms. Dana Hardie. Ms. Hardie, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I did not prepare a presentation this evening, so the item before you is simply to call for a public hearing for our Downtown West project. If you were to call for this public hearing, we would begin pulling all the details together and work with our applicant and our financial advisor. We're not prepared this evening to share any details about the TIF district, as council would need to authorize that work to be done. That authorization would come in the form of calling for that public hearing. As you know, staff's been working on this proposal for more than 2.5 years. The project team, Tim Marco, Mark McLean, who are here in the chambers with us this evening, were before council back in October to present an overview of the project, which would mark phase 1 of what we envision to be a 3-phase development for this site. Staff believe that this project is going to serve as a catalyst for future development on the parcel. It aligns with our Downtown West master plan, and it meets council's strategic goals to begin development of this parcel. The initial project would introduce a 146-unit market rate apartment building. It would be situated on the southeast portion of the parcel and an adjacent parcel owned privately, which is now under contract by the applicant. This phase of the project would include the construction of the public amenities, which include the central green, that is part of that Downtown West master plan, stormwater features, the roadways, and the utility infrastructure. The goal would be to break ground yet this fall. The city's had a pre-development agreement in place with Kraus Anderson for this phase of the project. The elements of that agreement have been satisfied, and Kraus Anderson is requesting assignment to Marco McLean LLC. So Tim and Mark, who are in the chambers with us this evening, the project team that we've been working with, and through that an assignment to Anderson Companies. President and CEO of Anderson Companies, Greg Anderson, is also in the chambers here with us this evening. Through this assignment, the city would continue to work with the same project team, the same engineers, the same architects. It's the same project that's being proposed, the same deal points that we've been discussing for the past 2.5 years, and the same pro forma. So again, Tim, Mark, and Greg are all here and available to reintroduce themselves to council and the public and answer any questions. And then after council discussion, we'd be looking for a motion for you to call for the TIF public hearing. That public hearing would take place in July, and then to authorize the assignment and to authorize staff to begin negotiating the purchase agreement and related development agreement.
So you're looking for, just to be clear, 3 different motions?
It could be one motion,
One motion to accomplish all of those
all of
things.
those things.
Terrific, thank you. Anything else, Ms. Hardie?
That's all for now, Mayor. Thank you.
Terrific, thank you. Council, questions, comments?
You want to start, or you want me to?
Councilmember Black, please.
Okay, so what exactly is the TIF going to be used for? Is it for the infrastructure, or is it for the apartment building?
So Mayor, Councilmember Black, members of the council, all of the above. So those are things that we'd be working out through details, and the exact information is something that we'd be bringing back to council as part of the public hearing. All that information would be available. So as you've heard us say before, the devil's in the details, and that's the stuff that we'll be working through. But it is envisioned that a portion of that TIF would be used for the developer for the project, and then also a portion of that to construct some of those public amenities like the central green, the stormwater features, etc.
Okay, the apartments, are they still going to have the main floor for retail?
Councilmember Black, Mayor, members of the council, I can take a stab at this, and then I will let our team here jump in and save me if they want to do that. But when we were back in October, this was something that was talked about at length with council, as this has been something that we've been very interested in having a retail component, mixed use component, and very activated downtown area for this site. And we've looked at that at great length. the project team, the staff, we've looked at many different scenarios. And this, where we're landing right now, the current environment for retail, the landscape has changed quite significantly in the last 2 years, in the last 8 months. With the pandemic that's been ongoing, there's lots of uncertainty with that, and a changing retail landscape and commercial landscape. So the desire is still to have an activated space, and we envision that this initial Catalyst project is going to be primarily residential, but we'll be looking for creative ways to keep that space activated and draw people to the downtown area. So whether it could be incubator space, it could be art in the park type things, but to draw people, those are things that we still need to work through and see how to best achieve that. We really feel like getting this, from a staff perspective, we've had a lot of discussion around this, and we feel like getting this project here and in the ground and up and going is really going to, and the utilities and the infrastructure there is really going to shift the momentum for development of that site. And with that, we think that staff as a phase 2 focus, that it would be easier, maybe not easier, but something that staff would be looking at, very specific standalone retail. How does that support? What does that look like? So revisiting that master plan in light of the shifting landscape of commercial to see what's going to be best sustainable for the long run and keeping that space activated.
Well, our survey just said that we needed more shopping, so I wanted to see if we could still do what we started to do. And I also wanted to know about the apartments. They're all market rate, as I'm concerned, and we're going for TIF. Are any of these going to be affordable?
So I might let Greg or Mark or Tim respond to that. Do you want me to take a stab at it, or do you want to jump in?
Do you guys, okay, I was going to see if you wanted to rock, paper, scissors, to see who wanted to come. Please, yeah, please, welcome. Come on up to the microphone and tell us which one of these fine names you are.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, council members, thank you for having us tonight. I'm Mark McLean, part of the development team here and part of the group that's been working with staff for almost 3 years now. I think it is, Dan, over 2.5.
Madam Mayor, members of the commission, or council, I'm sorry. Tim Marco, like Mark, have been here since the beginning, about 3 years ago, working on the project.
Terrific.
So I must be the new guy. Mayor McKillen, members of the council. My name is Greg Anderson. I've been in the real estate development and construction business for about 23 years, my own firm, and much longer than that prior to that. So Tim actually recently joined my firm. And with that, he's been a great asset for this project and others. Very interested when he joined about this opportunity here in Victoria. The details are with these gentlemen, and they could be better for them to speak through those this evening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you.
Mr. Marco, back to you.
Mr. McLean?
Mr. McLean.
And we can,
Yeah,
we
okay,
can
very
talk,
good.
did a beautiful job on kind of going through the evolution on the retail front. We have some more thoughts and ideas there we can jump in with. Specific to housing and affordability, the way that we've looked at this, we initially have modeled up a bunch of different scenarios. Do we do mixed income? Do we go for deeper levels of meaningful affordable, 30 and 50% AMI, where we're running bonds and tax credits, and that's one type of project. Mixed income limits you to a handful of units, restricted at 60 or potentially 50% AMI. That's a different type of project. And then there's the market rate, and where we were seeing a need, and we've done, and I'll back up even further, when we look at master planning, we do a lot of master planning in our business model, especially with Kraus, and I know Anderson does as well. a lot of the issue coming in is the front-loaded overhead and cost that are coming in. I'm sure we've all experienced this. It's hard to get a big site. It's hard to get that gravitational pull going. And it's usually that upfront cost, meaningful infrastructure, getting, putting the rooftops in. We've all heard that a million times, right? And so what we wanted this development to be, and what we think the benefit could be, and I'll come back to the affordable side, is limiting it to its very kind of efficient footprint, allowing for the most effective stormwater and infrastructure design that'll yield kind of the best public realm space with the most utilizable kind of cohesive space that you could do further development with. When we've talked through the bigger vision of all this, we looked at a phase 2, and I'll come back to that, and we've talked about that at length, but we're looking at the landscape of Victoria and what does it need right now? What can we provide right now, I should say? And that is kind of a diverse mix of options of housing. If you're a younger individual that wants to come in the community, we need some apartments that can let them come in and start growing into the community, have a family, eventually, let that full continuum of empty nesters come in and let the people take over those homes and grow the community and live and worship and be here for a long time. So when we look at that, we did a fair amount of the smaller units that are going to be in that alcove studio, what we call kind of smaller one bedroom space. And when we look at those organically, we're able to get the rents down closer to that 80% AMI type range. But going deeper than that for us turns it into a different kind of project. And we have experience with that type of project. And what we're looking at, because we've also been reaching out to grocers, we do a lot of, retail business, right? That's the core nucleus of our portfolio. And so what we're hearing from all those conversations is exactly that. Is like, we need some rooftops. We need more rooftops, especially from the grocers. Need more rooftops, da, 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 da. And so our thinking on this one is let's provide something that isn't, readily available maybe right now in Victoria with some different, a little bit of diversity of a housing type and getting some smaller units and getting some people in. And then let's look at a phase 2 project where we could potentially partner with a group. We've already talked about this. What a phase 2 that would utilize more of that prime central area feels like a really good vertical mixed use. And then what I would advocate is going in and doing a proper bond project. Now that's going to be a 2+ year project and but it'll offer a nice kind of juxtaposition to the smaller market rate community. There's going to be a lot of kind of inclusion that can go back and forth there. There's going to be a nice segue for firefighters and teachers and workforce housing that maybe at some point they're not going to be within compliance. They're not going to qualify for some of those units, so they can move across to ours and get into that alcove unit and continue kind of their progression through the community, put in that mix, that retail space. And I know I'm jumping into your retail stuff and kind of rambling here now. That, if I'm just being honest, that seemed like a bigger potential immediate benefit than doing a handful of restricted units. We've done that a number of times, and it always feels a little bit like you didn't do enough when you're doing a mixed income project and you do 15 units at a 60% AMI. We can get close to that with the organic rents of the smaller units, provide a better continuum, and then look to do something, I think, more meaningful by potentially partnering up with a mission-driven group and doing a proper affordable project on a better piece of land where we can park it better and do those things. So that's basically the last 2 years in a nutshell.
Go ahead, Councilmember Hebert.
All right, I have a question. You talked about, we keep hearing the need more households for groceries, right?
Yeah.
In your studies, right, what is that number? What is that, right, with all of our growth coming in the south area, right, what is that?
Mr. Marco, I think that's your area.
Yes, thank you. Madam Mayor, members of the council, I wish I knew that answer, to be honest with you, so that we could actually identify it, hit it, and then get the grocer in here. I think there's actually a lot of factors that have played into where we are today. And frankly, it's very similar to where we were 2.5 or 3 years ago when we stood up here. I can tell you, Mark can attest as well, we have asked every single grocer that is in the Twin Cities market, and some that are beyond, to pay attention, to just come to a meeting. Let city staff come and show you what the demographics actually are of Victoria and the surrounding MSA. There's tremendous demand, there's tremendous buying power, there's a need, right? Highway 5 gets very, very congested, and you have to go one of 2 ways to get your groceries. I'm not telling you folks anything you don't know. That's the easy thing for them to say. is there's not enough rooftops. There's not enough rooftops. You start looking at the mapping of where the existing grocery stores are, the size of the site, the size of the community, and already someone wants to do a smaller prototype, right? If you went to Cub Foods or Hy-Vee, at least Hy-Vee is still focusing on somewhat of a smaller prototype that would fit this community. But then they start to look at, where are the other grocery stores already at? And they look at the commute just not being an issue. And so I don't know what the exact housing count needs to be, but eventually people will take notice, whether it's one of the Amazon grocery stores or, I don't want to say Trader Joe's because everyone gets excited about it, but it's that smaller format grocery store that will see the opportunity of households, traffic, and access that gets them comfortable with it. But right now, they have not responded to us at all. And we don't even have that land in our focal point, but it's a value and it's important to us as a project owner and developer because it's tremendously valuable. It's an amenity to not only the community, but to that development. It'll help absolutely boom the rest of the site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is back on the housing. So you mentioned some of the smaller affordable units.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit, and it might be too early in the project to ask the question, so tell me that as well, but what do you see as the mix? I know you talked about the smaller, but are you going up to 2 bedrooms? Are you going up to 3 bedrooms? How big are
Yeah,
those?
absolutely. We're
rents.
doing we've worked a lot on this and we're not done yet, but as we're just kind of getting in the real meat of design development on the architectural side, but we're looking at a really nice complement of some studios to get in. And then we do what is called an alcove product, which is essentially a 1-bedroom at a lower cost with kind of it's not a true 1-bedroom, so we don't call it a 1-bedroom, but it's got kind of a borrowed light type half wall, but it still lays out very nice with a walk-in closet and a bedroom, but we're able to keep the prices quite a bit lower than create some differentiation between the 1-bedroom. We're thinking we're gonna have probably 4 to 5 different 1-bedroom floor plans that are smaller, all the way up to something that's more prototypical. I think our average unit size right now is running in the 840 square feet range, so that kind of speaks to a pretty diversified unit mix. It's bigger. Your core urban stuff is going to be more in that kind of 720-ish range, maybe 750 give or take. So, and then yes, 2 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms plus ends, and then some 3 bedrooms too. And the other thing that I think is interesting to pontificate when we talk about affordable, and it's something we struggle with a fair amount when we're going through MHFA underwriting, is that when you look at fair market rents, the FMRs as dictated by HUD, they're based on kind of a county level, right? So what does that mean to the actual community you're entering? If we were to do kind of those, and it's all just anecdotal because we're not allowed to make this argument except for just kind of talking about it. But if we were to actually do what do fair market, AMI rents mean particular to Victoria, then we're talking about something, because when we say 80% AMI, we're talking about the county at large, right? Which there's a large strata of different median incomes in the county. But I think particular to Victoria, especially with the very much the lack of supply, and there's waiting lines at some of the other competing projects. I think you look at that 80% AMI handle, and it would, I don't know if we've done this math or not, but it's going to be more particular, specific to a community like Victoria compared to, these median incomes. It's going to be more in that 50 to 60 range, right, on the small, and that's organically, naturally happening without the utilization of tax credits. So it's an interesting argument, but nothing more than that.
Can you give us some idea about what those rents are?
Yeah, we're still kind of honing in on it, and everything, we have the full pro forma attached, so I don't want to go from memory, but I'm sure Dana can provide the whole package. I mean, we're talking Dana, do you have it up in front of you?
Don't, but I can try to pull it up here quickly.
We promise not to hold you to it, but
Well, this is honestly a question I get asked in every council meeting, every community I've been in, and 99.9% of the time, until it's, essentially the day of closing and financing and everything is solidified, I'm always scared to answer this question. I mean, we have such a good relationship with city staff, and we've been working together so long that we have nothing to hold back here. So I think we gave the entire pro forma to
okay.
staff.
We haven't
so.
seen the pro forma, have we?
No, you will be getting that, Mayor, Council, Member Black, members of the council. You'll be getting all that information in preparation for the TIF hearing.
We'll let Dana look at that. Other questions for council?
Just a
or for
conversation.
these gentlemen?
Just, again, the retail piece, there are things that you notice when you're driving through at a time you normally don't. So Sunday morning at 8:10, I was riding through, I wanted to grab a cup of coffee on my way to church. We have one coffee shop open at that time in the morning, and it was a 25-minute wait to get through the line. So there is a need for retail, a diverse retail need, even if it is certain niches thing and things like that. Our goal is, the city's goal is to get people down here and to enjoy it, not just obviously putting a building there, but also coming into downtown and enjoying downtown at different times of the day, right? If I live in whatever neighborhood in Victoria, being able to come downtown at 8 in the morning or 8 at night, there are things to do and businesses to use. And there's that need that is there. When we're here, like similar to what you're saying, telling the grocery stores, just come to a meeting, see what the need is, because we actually heard our residents come and talk about how they would shop in Victoria versus going to Chaska or Chan or Waconia or Excelsior. I think that we could make the case very well. But I'm trying to make the case, if there's anything that you can do for a retail space that gets people downtown to stay and enjoy it for a period of time, I would love to see that. I think it does meet our but-for test, and it does, the project's a good project in terms of the funding and things like that, because I think it does get us to where we gotta go in the future. I just really want us to be able to get people down here.
I mean, we don't have any retail space open. So we have the demand, just like housing. So think about it.
Right? Council, other questions, comments? Nothing?
Great.
Terrific. Well, we look forward to this next step in the process. That land has been sitting there for a very long time. So we are excited to get some dirt moving down there. So with that, council, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, members of the council, do you want me to read what I?
Yes, please.
Might make it easier.
Yes.
So the motion would be to call for the TIF public hearing and allow assignment to Marco McLean LLC and then from there Anderson Companies, and to authorize staff to negotiate a purchase agreement and development agreement.
Terrific. I will make that motion. We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We are now on to reports and emerging issues. Attorney Vos, you're up first. Hi.
Mayor, council, hi. Good evening. I don't. I'm sorry, Mayor. I have nothing to say.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hardie, anything from you?
Nothing from staff, Madam
All
Mayor.
right, terrific. Council, anything from council this evening?
I just have a cute.
Councilmember Black, please.
In the Chan Villager, there was a letter to the editor from, I'm assuming it was a new resident of Victoria, and I actually got a tickle out of it. And it says, "Do we really live longer?" And he said, or she, last week's paper contained an interesting juxtaposition of articles on healthy Carver County, excellent outcomes, longer life expectancy, etc., and Minnesota weather. As someone who just moved here, I wonder, based on the weather we've had this spring, the cold temps, the 50-mile-per-hour winds, do we really live longer, or does it just seem longer?
Hang in there. Who's
now-
saying that?
And the person is Terry Elliott of Victoria.
Terry, hang in there.
And,
It gets better.
Just so they know, today hit 87.
Yeah, hang in there.
So welcome to Victoria.
All right. Council, anything else?
Just curious, if we can ask Bob the question I asked earlier. So we were talking regarding our county money being used for food relief. Our
money.
Excuse me, our ARPA money being used for food relief. And I asked a question that seems to be a slippery slope, but we thought we'd get I'm asking you for your legal opinion related to the city. If the city decided to use X amount of dollars to buy gift cards, and give them to, or whatever, to some of the food shelves or food relief organizations in the city. Is that, I mean, that's a fairly slippery slope? Is it still picking winners and losers, or how does that,
Is it possible?
is it possible?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, so you can appreciate that all forms of COVID relief have been a hot issue among all of our clients. We've got sort of an expert in the office on ARPA and the other programs. I'm not that person, so I'm going to just tell you that up front. But, you know, the general principle that we struggle with on the hypothetical you're identifying is it's much more likely to be possible to do funding for a food relief program organization under some form of contract between the city and that organization. It's a little bit more difficult to actually literally buy gift cards that human beings would then receive, because that looks like what it is, a gift. Gift cards are gifts typically. So, and the government can't give out public money, even ARPA money, as a gift to organizations or to individuals. So understand that there is that line out there, but generally speaking, I can have somebody look at ARPA funding. It's less restrictive than prior forms of funding we've received. So I suspect there's a way to get at what you're talking about. I don't know the right mechanism to do it. So it's a fair question. I don't know the answer off the top of my head.
All right, council, anything else? All right. With that, there are no more items to come before the body this evening, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
We got a motion.
Second?
We got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and we are adjourned. Have a good evening.